First contact's insult. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Earth's orbital station Theta, her dark eyes fixed on the massive vessel that had just emerged from hyperspace. The ship before her was ancient, its hull marked with centuries of patch repairs and scorch marks that told stories of countless previous owners. This was humanity's welcome gift from the Galactic Assembly, and Sarah couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. High Representative Zixtal of the Assembly stood beside her, his crystalline form refracting the starlight as he gestured toward the ship. We present the Stellar Phoenix to humanity, a vessel with historical significance. The slight pause before historical wasn't lost on Sarah. Historical significance, Sarah repeated carefully, maintaining her diplomatic composure despite the growing knot in her stomach, and its current operational status. Zixtal's crystalline features shifted in what might have been amusement. It maintains basic functionality. Surely, a species as resourceful as humanity can manage such a vessel. Behind them, Chief Engineer Maya Patel was already scanning the ship, her augmented reality display flooding with data. Sarah noticed Maya's eyes widening, but her engineer kept her face carefully neutral. They'd both been briefed extensively on diplomatic protocol. Humanity was the newest member of the Galactic Assembly, and they couldn't afford to show offense, even at such an obvious slight. "We're honored by this gesture," Sarah said, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. "When can my team begin inspection?" "Immediately," Zixtal replied. "You have 2 standard cycles to prepare it for service. The Assembly has many other matters requiring attention." With a crystalline chime that might have been laughter, he turned and left the observation deck. The moment the door closed behind him, Maya exploded. "Commander, this isn't just an old ship. It's practically an archaeological specimen. The primary systems are running on quantum crystalline matrices that haven't been used in millennia. Half the technology in here isn't even in our database." Sarah turned to her engineer, surprised by the excitement in Maya's voice. "I'm hearing the but coming." Maya's dark eyes sparkled. "But these systems, they're unlike anything I've ever seen. The quantum crystalline matrices aren't just power conduits. There's some kind of integrated network that spans the entire ship. It's incredibly inefficient by modern standards, but the potential energy capacity." She trailed off, lost in the data streaming across her display. "Maya," Sarah said carefully, "what exactly are you seeing?" The engineer looked up, a grin spreading across her face. "They thought they were giving us junk, Commander. But I don't think they understand what they actually handed over. These quantum crystalline systems, they're not primitive. They're different. And different might be exactly what we need." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Modern ships use standardized plasma ion drives and quantum bubble shields. Efficient, reliable, but also predictable. This ship's crystalline technology operates on completely different principles. If we could understand it, modify it." Maya's fingers flew across her datapad. "We could create something unprecedented." Sarah studied the ancient vessel through the observation window. Its scared hull and patchwork repairs suddenly looked less like signs of decay and more like a perfect disguise. "How long would you need?" "With a full engineering team and Dr. Marcus Webb from Quantum Sciences. 2 cycles won't be enough to make it pretty, but it might be enough to make it interesting." Maya's grin had turned predatory. "They expect us to barely get it running. They won't be looking for anything more." Sarah nodded slowly, a plan forming in her mind. The Galactic Assembly had given humanity a gift wrapped in an insult, expecting gratitude for their table scraps. They thought they were teaching humanity its place in the galactic hierarchy. Instead, they might have just handed humanity the keys to revolutionizing space warfare. "Begin full inspection," Sarah ordered. "I want every system mapped, every crystal matrix analyzed. And Maya, keep the most interesting findings out of the official reports. As far as the Assembly is concerned, we're just grateful newcomers struggling with our hand-me-down Starship." As Maya hurried off to assemble her team, Sarah remained at the window, watching the starlight play across the Phoenix's battle-scarred hull. Humanity had always excelled at turning others' cast-offs into advantages. The assembly's gift would prove no different. She tapped her comm unit. "Dr. Webb, clear your schedule. I have a quantum crystalline puzzle that needs solving." Hidden in plain sight. Dr. Marcus Webb had never seen anything like it. The quantum crystalline matrix pulsed with a soft blue glow in the stellar Phoenix's engineering bay, its lattice structure defying every principle of modern quantum mechanics he'd studied. For the past week, he'd practically lived in this room, surrounded by holographic displays showing energy patterns that shouldn't be possible. "The crystals aren't just storing energy," he explained to Commander Chen and Maya, who stood watching as he manipulated the holographic models. "They're communicating with each other. Each crystal node modifies the quantum state of its neighbors, creating cascade effects throughout the entire network." Maya nodded, her fingers dancing across her diagnostic panel. "That's why the efficiency readings are so low by conventional standards. We've been measuring the wrong things. It's like," she searched for the right analogy, "like trying to measure a quantum computer with classical benchmarks." Sarah frowned, studying the complex patterns floating before them. "Can we weaponize it?" Marcus hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The quantum cascade effect could be focused, tuned to specific frequencies. But it would take months to." "We have 3 days left," Sarah interrupted. "The assembly's inspection team arrives then, expecting to see a barely functional antique. What can we do in 3 days?" Maya and Marcus exchanged glances. "We'd need to reconfigure the entire power distribution network," Maya said. "Route everything through the crystalline matrices in parallel rather than series. It would look incredibly inefficient on standard scans." "Perfect," Sarah smiled. "The more inefficient it looks, the less attention they'll pay to it." "What else?" Marcus pulled up another diagram. "If we modify these nodes here and here," he pointed to specific intersections in the crystal network, "we could create a quantum resonance chamber. On the surface, it would appear to be a poorly designed power regulator. But with the right activation sequence, it would become a weapon unlike anything in the modern galaxy," Maya finished. "The quantum cascade effect would propagate through any standard energy shield, disrupting its coherence at the quantum level. No contemporary defense could stop it because they're all based on fundamentally different principles." Sarah studied her 2 experts carefully. "Could the assembly's inspection team detect these modifications?" Marcus shook his head. "The technology is so old, their modern scanners won't even know what to look for. They'll see exactly what they expect to see: an ancient, inefficient power system barely keeping the ship running." "Then do it," Sarah ordered. "But keep the modifications subtle. I want this ship to look exactly like what they think it is, a diplomatic insult barely worth their attention." Over the next 3 days, the engineering bay became a hive of activity, though not in any way that would draw attention. While some crews made obvious repairs to the hull and life support systems, Maya and Marcus led a select team in the delicate work of transforming the quantum crystalline network. They worked in shifts, keeping the most sensitive modifications hidden behind false panels and dummy systems. Maya's team installed backup power systems that looked crude but actually served to mask the true power signatures of the modified crystal matrices. Marcus programmed the ship's computers with false readings that would satisfy casual inspection, while concealing the quantum resonance chamber's true capabilities. On the final night before inspection, Sarah stood in the engineering bay, watching the crystalline network pulse with its deceptively dim light. The ship's power readings showed it operating at barely 40% efficiency, exactly what the assembly would expect from an ancient vessel crewed by primitive humans. "It's done," Maya announced, her voice thick with exhaustion, but her eyes bright with pride. "To their scanners, this will look like we barely managed to get the basic systems running. Every inefficiency and power fluctuation has been carefully calculated to hide what's really happening in the quantum network." Marcus nodded, closing his final diagnostic display. The resonance chamber is complete. From the outside, it reads as a poorly shielded power regulator. They'll probably laugh at our inability to properly contain the quantum field leakage. Perfect, Sarah said softly. Let them laugh. When the time comes, they'll learn that humanity has always had a talent for turning underestimation into advantage. She ran her hand along one of the crystal matrices, feeling the subtle vibration of power flowing through it. The assembly had meant to put humanity in its place with this gift. Instead, they had handed them the key to revolutionizing space warfare, all because they couldn't imagine that a primitive species might see potential where they saw only obsolescence. Get some rest, she told her team. Tomorrow, we need to look exactly like what they expect, grateful primitives stumbling around with technology we barely understand. As her crew filed out, Sarah remained in the engineering bay, watching the quantum crystals pulse with their deliberately dimmed light. Somewhere out in the galaxy, the Corexian Empire was pushing its borders ever closer to human space, confident in the superiority of their modern warships. Soon, they would learn what humanity could do with the assembly's cast-off technology. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the most dangerous weapon was being underestimated. The assembly had given humanity a gift wrapped in contempt, never imagining that their ancient, discarded technology might become something revolutionary in human hands. In 3 days, the inspection team would come and go, satisfied that humanity had been properly humbled. And the stellar phoenix would continue its transformation, hidden behind a carefully crafted facade of inefficiency and obsolescence, until the day came to show the galaxy exactly what humanity could do with a gift they were never meant to understand. Testing the waters. The asteroid belt at the edge of the Sol system was perfect for weapons testing, remote, mostly empty, and far from prying eyes. Or at least, that's what Commander Sarah Chen had thought when she chose it. Now, as the stellar phoenix drifted among the rocks, her tactical display showed an unexpected contact at the edge of sensor range. Corexian patrol vessel, Lieutenant James Rodriguez reported from his tactical station. Looks like a standard border patrol. They're staying just outside assembly-designated human space. Sarah nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite her concern. The Corexians had been pushing closer to human territory for months, testing boundaries, gathering intelligence. Their presence here wasn't a coincidence. Maya, how ready are we for a field test? She asked over the comm. The quantum resonance chamber is stable, Maya replied from engineering. Dr. Webb has finished calibrating the focusing arrays. We can run a low-power test whenever you're ready. Sarah studied the tactical display. The Corexian ship was making no aggressive moves, but its presence complicated things. A weapons test now would risk revealing their capabilities. No test meant wasting a rare opportunity away from assembly oversight. Commander, Marcus called from his station. I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations from the Corexian vessel. I think they're scanning us. Sarah's decision crystallized. Maya, proceed with the test. Minimal power, targeting that nickel-iron asteroid at bearing 047. Let's see what our quantum cascade effect can do. The engineering deck hummed as power flowed through the crystalline matrices. On the surface, the Phoenix's power readings showed dangerous inefficiencies, exactly what anyone would expect from an ancient, poorly maintained vessel. But beneath that facade, the quantum resonance chamber was focusing energy in ways the modern galaxy had forgotten were possible. Target locked, Rodriguez reported. Asteroid mass approximately 10,000 tons. Range 50 kilometers. Fire. A beam of pale blue energy pulsed from the Phoenix's bow. To any observer, it would have looked weak, almost pathetic compared to modern weapon systems. The beam struck the asteroid, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the massive rock simply came apart. Not in an explosion, but in a sudden, silent disintegration as its molecular bonds failed simultaneously. Where a 10,000-ton asteroid had been, only an expanding cloud of dust remained. By the stars, Rodriguez whispered. Marcus, Sarah said sharply, What are the corrections seeing? Marcus checked his readings. From their position, the energy beam would have appeared extremely weak. Their sensors would register it as a poorly contained power discharge rather than a weapon. But he paused, frowning at his display. They're definitely interested. Their scanning intensity just doubled. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Let them scan. Modern sensors looking for modern weapons would find nothing but an obsolete vessel barely worth their attention. The quantum principles at work were so old they might as well be magic to contemporary science. Commander, Maya's voice came over the comm, excitement barely contained. The quantum cascade effect exceeded our projections by 300%. The resonance chamber is performing better than we ever. The ship rocked suddenly as warning alarms blared. Correction vessel is moving, Rodriguez reported. They're launching some kind of probe toward the debris field. Power readings spiking, Marcus added. They're preparing tow. Another shockwave hit the Phoenix as a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the correction ship, cutting through the asteroid field. Not attacking, Sarah realized, but taking their own readings of the debris cloud. Get us out of here, she ordered. Set course for Earth, standard power only. Let them see exactly what they expect. An old ship running from superior technology. As the Phoenix limped away at sublight speed, Sarah watched the correction vessel on her tactical display. They made no move to follow, content to study the aftermath of humanity's first quantum cascade test. Let them study. Let them dismiss the incident as an accident, a power malfunction from an obsolete ship. Later, in her quarters, Sarah reviewed the sensor logs with Maya and Marcus. The test had proven more than they'd hoped. The quantum cascade effect didn't just work, it worked better than their theoretical models had predicted. But the correction presence was troubling. They'll report this, Maya said, stating what they all knew. Even if they don't understand what they saw, they'll tell their superiors about the incident. Marcus nodded. But what will they report? An ancient human vessel with unstable power systems. A possible weapons test that their sensors could barely detect. They have no framework to understand what really happened. No, Sarah agreed. They don't. And that's our advantage. She stood, looking out her viewport at the stars. But we need to accelerate our timeline. The corrections are getting bolder in their expansion. Sooner or later, they'll make a move against human space. The quantum resonance chamber works, Maya said. We could have a fully operational weapons system within weeks. Make it days, Sarah ordered. I have a feeling we're going to need it sooner rather than later. As if to emphasize her words, a priority message flashed on her terminal. A report of increased correction activity near the human research outpost on Europa. They were testing boundaries, looking for weakness. Soon, they would find something very different from what they expected. Sarah smiled grimly. The assembly had given humanity an obsolete ship, thinking to teach them humility. Instead, they had given humanity the perfect weapon, one hidden behind a facade of harmless inadequacy. The corrections, like the assembly, would learn too late that underestimating humanity was a dangerous mistake. The Phoenix rises. The emergency alert jolted Sarah from her sleep. Commander to the bridge, priority 1. Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm. She was moving before the message finished, muscle memory from countless drills taking over. The bridge was already at battle stations when she arrived. The main display showed a tactical overlay of the Europa research station, with 3 angry red markers closing in fast. Correction warships, Rodriguez reported grimly. Thanatos-class destroyers. They dropped out of hyperspace 10 minutes ago and immediately demanded the station's surrender. They're claiming violation of their sovereign space. Europa Station is 15 light minutes inside assembly-recognized human territory, Sarah said, sliding into her command chair. Status of the station. Shields are up, but they're civilian grade. They won't last against military weapons. 273 personnel on board, including families. Sarah's jaw tightened. The nearest assembly peacekeeping fleet was hours away, exactly as the corrections had planned. They expected to face an obsolete cargo ship and a civilian research station, the perfect, low-risk target to test humanity's defenses. Time to intercept. We can reach Europa Station in 17 minutes at maximum burn. Corrections will be in firing range of the station in 20. Sarah opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, battle stations. Maya, I need full power to the quantum matrices. Marcus, begin resonance chamber calibration. This is not a drill. The Stellar Phoenix surged forward, its ancient engines straining. To any observer, it would look like a desperate, futile gesture, an outdated cargo vessel rushing to defend against 3 modern warships. Correxian vessels are hailing, Rodriguez reported. On screen. The Correxian commander appeared, his scaled face set in an expression of amused contempt. This is Commander Vexkar of the Imperial Fleet. That obsolete vessel of yours is interfering with a military operation. Withdraw immediately, or be destroyed. Sarah met his gaze calmly. This is Commander Chen of the Stellar Phoenix. You are in violation of recognized human space. Withdraw your forces, or we will be forced to respond. Vexkar's laugh was harsh. Respond. With that ancient wreck, we've scanned your vessel, human. You can barely keep your power systems stable. This is your final warning. Withdraw, or watch your research station burn before we destroy you. The transmission cut off. Sarah looked at her tactical display. 5 minutes until they reached the station. The Correxian ships were already moving into attack formation. Maya, status of the quantum matrices. All crystals synchronized. Commander, resonance chamber is stable at full power. They still think our energy fluctuations are system instability. Marcus, quantum cascade effect calibrated for capital ship shields. Ready on your command. Sarah nodded. Rodriguez, as soon as we're in range, I want targeting solutions on all 3 ships. Time it with their first attack run on the station. Let them think we're making a suicidal defensive play. The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. On the main screen, they could see the Correxian ships beginning their attack run, energy building in their main weapons. They're charging weapons, Rodriguez reported. Firing solutions locked. Wait for it, Sarah ordered. Let them commit to their attack. The lead Correxian ship fired, its energy beam lancing out toward the station's shields. At that exact moment, Sarah gave the order. Now, the Stellar Phoenix's quantum matrices flared to life, their carefully hidden powers suddenly unleashed. 3 beams of pale blue energy shot forth, each targeting a different Correxian vessel. The enemy ship's shields flickered as the quantum cascade effect propagated through their defenses, disrupting them at the subatomic level. Direct hits. Rodriguez called out. Their shields they're just gone. All 3 ships showing complete shield failure. On the main screen, they could see the Correxian vessels frantically maneuvering, trying to understand what had just happened. Their return fire splashed harmlessly against the Phoenix's own crystalline shields, another inefficient system that operated on principles their modern weapons couldn't counter. Open a channel, Sarah ordered. The Correxian commander's face appeared, his earlier contempt replaced by shock and fear. What? What have you done? What is this weapon? This is your final warning, Sarah said calmly. Your ships are defenseless. Withdraw from human space immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate what else this obsolete vessel can do. The Correxian ships hung in space for a long moment, their commanders facing an impossible choice. Then, one by one, they turned away from the station and jumped to hyperspace. Cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Sarah wasn't finished. Send a message to the assembly, she ordered. Inform them that humanity successfully defended its territory from an unprovoked Correxian attack. Include the sensor logs. Let them see exactly what their historical gift can do in human hands. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Sarah looked around at her crew. The engineers who had seen possibility where others saw obsolescence, the scientists who had unlocked ancient secrets, the tactical officers who had kept their true strength hidden until the perfect moment. The assembly had given them a gift wrapped in an insult, never imagining that humans would see potential where they saw only outdated technology. The Coraxians had dismissed them as primitive newcomers, never considering that appearances might be deceiving. Both would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to transform underestimation into advantage. The stellar phoenix had risen from the ashes of contempt to become something unprecedented, a symbol that humanity would not be so easily dismissed in the galactic community. A new dawn. The assembly chamber was silent as the sensor logs played out on the massive holographic display. 3 Coraxian warships, their supposedly impenetrable shields collapsing against weapons fire from an obsolete human vessel. Sarah stood at the speaker's podium, her dress uniform crisp, her expression composed as she faced the gathered representatives of 100 spacefaring civilizations. High Representative Zixel's crystalline form had lost some of its luster. "This is unprecedented," he said finally. "You claim these weapons were developed using only the original systems of the vessel we provided." "Correct," Sarah replied. "The quantum crystalline matrices that you considered obsolete proved to be quite versatile in human hands. We simply explored their potential." A murmur ran through the chamber. The Coraxian delegation was noticeably absent. Their formal protest of human weapons of mass destruction had been quietly withdrawn after the full sensor logs were released, showing their unprovoked attack on a civilian research station. "If I may," Maya stepped forward, her engineer's uniform decorated with the new insignia of Earth's Defense Force. "The quantum technologies you discarded generations ago weren't primitive. They were simply different from the standardized systems that became prevalent. We found that these differences offered unique advantages when properly understood and modified." Marcus added from his position at the technical station, "The quantum cascade effect demonstrates principles that modern shield systems never needed to defend against, precisely because the technology was considered obsolete. It's not that we created a superior weapon. We simply approached old technology with fresh eyes." The assembly representatives shifted uncomfortably. Sarah knew what they were thinking. Every spacefaring race had similar obsolete ships in their boneyards, gathering dust while they pursued standardized modern technology. How many other forgotten possibilities lay dormant in their discarded history? "The stellar phoenix was meant to be a gesture of inclusion," Zixtel said carefully, "a way to integrate humanity into the galactic community gradually. And it served that purpose admirably," Sarah replied with just a hint of irony. "It taught us valuable lessons about our place in the galaxy, about how innovation comes not just from advancing forward, but sometimes from looking back with new perspectives." A representative from the Centaurian Alliance raised their appendage. "What are humanity's intentions with this technology? Surely you understand our concerns about its military applications." Sarah's expression softened slightly. "Our intention is the same as it has always been, to be productive members of the galactic community. The Phoenix's capabilities were revealed only in defense of our legitimate territory against unprovoked aggression. We have already submitted complete technical documentation about the quantum cascade effect to the Assembly Science Council." This caused another stir in the chamber. Freely sharing such a powerful military innovation was unexpected. But Sarah wasn't finished. "We believe this rediscovery offers opportunities far beyond military applications. The quantum crystalline matrices could revolutionize energy distribution, shield harmonics, even faster than light travel. But only if we approach them with open minds, willing to see potential in the patterns others dismissed." Maya stepped forward again, bringing up new diagrams on the holographic display. "We've already begun adapting the technology for civilian applications. These are preliminary designs for a new power distribution network that could increase efficiency across the galaxy by 300%. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Sarah watched as the representatives huddled with their technical advisors, their initial fear giving way to curiosity and possibility. This was what humanity had hoped for, not just proving their worth, but contributing genuine innovation to the galactic community. Hours later, on the observation deck of the Stellar Phoenix, Sarah stood with Maya and Marcus, watching ships from a dozen worlds dock with the station. Teams of scientists and engineers coming to collaborate on the new possibilities humanity had uncovered. "They're calling it the Phoenix Protocol now," Marcus said, reading from his datapad. "A new initiative to re-examine discarded technologies across the galaxy, looking for other overlooked possibilities." Maya smiled. "Turns out humanity's primitive perspective has some value after all." Sarah watched as another ship docked, this one bearing the insignia of the Coraxian Science Academy. Their military had retreated, but their scientists had been among the first to request cooperation on civilian applications of the quantum technology. "We took their diplomatic insult and turned it into a revolution," she said quietly. "Not through superior technology or military might, but by simply being willing to see value where others saw obsolescence." The Stellar Phoenix hung in space beside them, its scarred hull now bearing the proud insignia of Earth's Defense Force. But it was more than a warship now. It was a symbol of humanity's unique contribution to the galaxy, a reminder that true innovation sometimes meant looking backward to move forward. As the first teams of alien scientists boarded the Phoenix to study its quantum crystalline heart, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. The assembly had given humanity an obsolete ship, thinking to teach them humility. Instead, they had learned that every civilization, no matter how advanced, could still be surprised, could still learn, could still grow. The stars stretched out before them, filled with new possibilities waiting to be discovered. And humanity, the upstart race that turned ancient technology into revolutionary innovation, was ready to help lead the way into that brighter future.